This is About Space. From the Florida World Headquarters is your host about space, David Denault.
Welcome, and thank you for taking time to join me today. And I don't think you're going to be disappointed in what Special Report has uncovered. If you listen regularly to About Space today, we brought you reports on the 1947 UFO crash in New Mexico and the supposed landing in England. In 2005, David Bradley, our ASD Planetary Science editor, and I went to the forest to see for ourselves the landing site. It's been called the Roswell of England. It's in a remote forest in Suffolk, and new reports have come in about a possible clandestine military exercise to attract UAPs. I'm talking about what happened in Rendlesham Forest from December the 26th until December the 28th, 1980. There have been many questions regarding the testimony of the United States Air Force officers and what they saw and touched. Listen carefully.
Here is a recording by Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt and Sergeant Nevels. Listen to what they observed.
We're about 150 or 200 yards from the site. Everything else is just deathly calm. There is no doubt about it. There's some type of strange flashing red light ahead. It's yellow. I saw a yellow tinge in it too. Weird. It appears to be maybe moving a little bit this way. It's brighter than it has been. Yellow. It's coming this way. It is definitely coming this way. Pieces of it are shooting off. There is no doubt about it. This is weird. To the left. Yeah, definitely moving left. Two lights. One light to the front, okay. One light to the left. Keep the flashlights off. 10 degrees, horizon directly north. We've got two strange objects. Half moon shape, dancing about with colored lights on them.
Those were the actual recordings. Now, during the Rendlesham Forest incident, a U.S. Air Force security airman named Jim Peniston claimed to have touched this mysterious craft that he encountered in the forest. He described it as having a warm, smooth, and seeing unusual markings and symbols. And later he began to have dreams and visions of zeros and ones. And it was continuous. And eventually he copied the zeros and ones on paper. And eventually he had it decoded. And the message was scary. It read, "Exploration of humanity. Continuous planetary advance. Information, the fourth geographical coordinates." And they were for Caracol, Belize, Sedona, Arizona, the Great Pyramid in Egypt, the Nazca Lines in Peru, the Tai Shan Ku in China, and the Temple of Apollo in Greece. Well, recently there's a new theory of how and why APs were attracted to Rendlesham Forest, which was conveniently located between two military installations, RAF Bentwater and RAF Woodbridge, both of which were used by the United States Air Force in December 1980. And now news from a Professor Simon Holland, a science filmmaker who claims the military may have had a clandestine project, quote, a dog whistle, end quote, an exercise to attract UAPs. And here is part of his story.
Hey, I'm super excited to share this video with you and to narrate this video about how the UK and the USA might have built a dog whistle type device to attract UAP into Rendlesham Forest as a pre-planned exercise.
In the quiet landscape of Suffolk, UK, lies a history shrouded in legends and secrecy. From the early days of radar technology to the UAP encounter in Rendlesham Forest, this county has played a pivotal role in military experimentation.
Our night that we went out there, they were blasting the phenomenon with EM frequencies from Bowsey through the tunnels into the forest. Because those blue lights that we saw, plasma's being targeted by lasers. They were generating the phenomenon, which was probably what they were hitting was the actual phenomenon, the exposure, what they created from blasting this energy.
And strangely, Suffolk has the reputation of having a thin veil, separating reality from the supernatural.
There's something strange about that area, and it continues to this day. Now, the base is closed. I say closed. We're gone, as you well know. The British military has a presence at Woodbridge. Now, there's a lot of interesting things. Keep in mind, Orford Nest, where the lighthouse is, had some very high classified activities prior to that, some high-energy things, all kinds of different things were triggers for nuclear weapons, they tell me, and all sorts of things. Just to the north of there is Butley Village, which was a stone's throw from Bentwaters, home of British witchcraft, interesting. Just south of there is RF Bodsey, where the big experimental radar stations were set up during World War II. So a lot of things in that area.
The Rendlesham Forest incident was dangerously real. UAP were encountered. Unknown craft were seen on radar and on the ground. And U.S. Air Force personnel were injured by damaging electromagnetic frequencies and high-energy plasma. Was this just a strange encounter with the unknown? Or a pre-planned operation to interact with non-human intelligence? If so, what kind of technology can summon and control UAP? By researching military physics, this video hopes to shine a light on what really happened in Rendlesham Forest by looking for clues from before the fabled 1980 incident. In the shadows of the Cold War, the Cobra Mist Experimental Radio Laboratory was built on Orford Ness. A joint US and UK high-energy test facility, it represented a critical aspect of Cold War military strategy. This place was never just a radar station. It was more likely built to transmit a pulsed energy beam to knock out Soviet forces if they invaded Western Europe. During Cobra Mist's experiments, numerous sightings of UAP were observed in Suffolk. These UAP manifestations plagued Cobra Mist's EMP function. Some over Sizewell Nuclear Power Station and others out over the North Sea. Local inshore fishermen were warned to keep away from Orford Ness and informed unusual sound and light effects might be seen in the area. Had they built a UAP dog whistle? Constructing a system that can attract non-human intelligence? Exploiting the strangely thin veil of reality that exists over Suffolk? If UAP flew into an unstable magnetic field, it might alter their course or disable their craft. Atmospheric nuclear testing was banned in 1963, but the military still wanted EMP and ionospheric control. Facilities as HARP in Alaska, Arecibo in Puerto Rico, IceCat in Norway, and Cobra Mist in Suffolk experimented with heating our ionosphere and non-nuclear EMP effects, unleashing giant pulses of energy. Cobra Mist experimented with all of these systems. Its main function was probably an EMP-directed energy weapon, pointing out over the North Sea, ready to blast the technology of a Soviet invasion back into the Stone Age. But here's the kicker. Ever since the Bluegill and Starfish prime atmospheric nuclear EMP tests, the military observed their combined EMP and magnetosphere bombs attracted UAP. Was Cobra Mist also a UAP dog whistle? Was Suffolk the perfect location to evoke the highly strange? Were UAP attracted to East Suffolk because of its nuclear sites and advanced physics? 6 years after Cobra Mist was closed, military physics research continued in Suffolk. Maybe a more powerful EMP dog whistle had been built. By 1980, was it ready to be tested in Suffolk? In late December 1980, the tranquil woods of Rendlesham became a focal point of controversy. Sightings of unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAP, occurred between the twin USAF bases of Bentwaters and Woodbridge. The Rendlesham incident is often reported as beginning on the 26th December 1980, but in the months before the famous UFO incident, USAF witnesses describe how their base was gearing up for an advanced military operation. An Air Force witness said a heavy concrete parking pad was built prior to the Rendlesham Forest incident at the east end of USAF Woodbridge for the arrival of a Galaxy C-5 transport aircraft. Was the Rendlesham Forest incident a pre-planned exercise? Or was a team sent in to investigate the UAP effects and collect samples? Base commanders knew that an off-base team carrying exotic equipment and special investigators to debrief witnesses flew into Woodbridge on a Galaxy C-5 heavy-lift aircraft around the 29th of December. USAF mechanic Rick Sommerfeld saw this going on during his drive home and was told to ignore the activity in the forest. "I was told to drive out to the end of the road, turn left, and do not stop for any reason. Just drive cautiously past the people on the right and keep going if you know what's good for you." All I could see was military vehicles, SP trucks, and the Cadillac Gage armored vehicle, one blue staff car. I think it had a white roof, and lots of light-alls facing the road, blinding anyone trying to see into the forest. Close quote. What did USAF Bentwater's Deputy Base Commander Charles Halt know about the full scope of the military operations planned for his base?
A strange administrative plane landed at Woodbridge. Now, transit aircraft did not land at Woodbridge. They landed at Bentwaters because that's where all the facilities were and the parking and everything, all the services. The plane had its own crew with its own coveralls, which were not Air Force standard coveralls. They provided their own security. Now, even when the TR-1s, even when the U-2s, even when the SR-71s and the ABCC planes landed at Bentwaters, we provided security. But this plane had its own security. Now, at the time, I just assumed it was somebody from DOE doing some funny thing.
Was a covert operation underway, designed to summon the highly strange in the UK forest between USAF Bentwaters and Woodbridge? The timing of the Rendlesham Forest incident is also important. UK Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher and her Defense Secretary John Nott were keen to demonstrate and sell novel British defense physics to the emerging US Strategic Defense Initiative. After the strange nights of sightings and close encounters, what happened next is a dark chapter in the military treatment of their personnel.
Right after the incident, I said to him, "Are you guys at all interested in this?" He said, "We don't get involved in UFO stuff." Wrong. I later learned that their office was used. The spooks came in. The spooks, how shall I say, debriefed with drugs and hypnosis at least 5 people, if not more, and probably created what's called screen memories. We're talking John Burroughs, Jim Peniston, Adrian Bastenza. They scarfed up Larry Warren for some reason or other because he claimed to have been involved. I don't know who all else. And they never admitted this to me till years later.
They told me that somebody wanted to talk to me downstairs. At first, they said, "Have a seat." And I was like, "Well, what's going on?" Because the room was kind of like empty with just a table and a chair. And I was like, "Well, what's going on?" They said, "Well, we're going to ask you some questions." And I really didn't want to sit down. I started getting scared at that point. And I said, "Well, I don't want to sit down." I said, I don't want to do this. I said, I want to go back to the barracks. And they said, it was, you need to sit down. We're going to ask you questions, and you need to cooperate. A light came out in front of me, and there was a gentleman. I could see the silhouette, and he started asking me questions. There were several times during the interrogation that the gentleman told me, he said, "No, you didn't see that. You saw it was the lighthouse. It was the light shines and it reflects off the trees." And I said, "Light doesn't reflect off a tree." I said, "Light shines on the tree and you can see the tree." And I said, "And when the light comes around behind you or above you, that's not a lighthouse." And he said, "Son," he says, "bullets are a dime a dozen." He says, "and they're cheap." He goes, "Do you understand me? I'm going to tell you one more time. What you saw was the light and the light was shining, reflecting off the trees. He says, and that's going to be your story because that's what you saw. And I said, no, I didn't. That wasn't what I saw. And he raised his voice, and the light kind of moved, and it was just, I couldn't see. I put my hand over my eyes, like kind of shading the sun from above, and I was trying to see, and all I could see was like a silhouette. He says, I told you once, I'm going to tell you for the last time. He goes, bullets are cheap, they're a dime a dozen. He says, do you get the picture? I told you once, I'm going to tell you for the last time. He goes, bullets are cheap, they're a dime a dozen. He says, do you get the picture?
What we undoubtedly know is USAF personnel were injured, and the DoD wanted the Rendlesham Forest encounter buried. By looking at the physics, the labs, and the legends that surround Rendlesham, I hope this begins to chip away at the shroud covering the strangest incident in the UK, and shines a light on the type of technology possibly used to summon UAP. What exactly is it they succeeded in evoking? And why personnel were injured still remains secret over 40 years later. It's about time we learned the full truth. Unfortunately, the truth is still out there.
Some 45 years later, it's not what we don't know, it's what we do know. An alien craft landed in Rendlesham Forest, just like the 1947 alien craft that crashed in Roswell, New Mexico. And there's still more of the truth out there to be discovered. And a report from News Nation says, recently we had an encounter with a UFO that crashed into our military fighting jets. Here's more.
Is the government finally coming clean about what it knows about UFOs? There's a new report by the Federal Aviation Administration that admits in 2023 an orange and white UFO crashed into an Air Force fighter jet during a routine training mission. And the UFO caused so much damage to the $60 million jet that it was forced to land. And that is not the only new evidence that they released. Trump's top science advisors recently admitted that the government may have anti-gravity technology. Look at this.
Our passenger planes are slower than they used to be. Our trains crawl compared to those in other parts of the world. Our cars do not fly. We are capable of so much more. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space.
Manipulate time and space. Oh my gosh, I'm surprised that hasn't been a bigger story. So why has the Trump administration decided to disclose all of this now? I want to ask former Pentagon UFO whistleblower and investigator Lou Elizondo. Lou, it's nice to have you with us. First of all, the UFO that crashed into the fighter plane, what do we know about that?
Well, the problem is that we really don't know much, and therein lies the challenge, right? When you have an incident involving a $40 million combat aircraft, and only the details now are starting to be released through Freedom of Information Act and FAA, there's a problem. Now, we've been saying for the last 8 years since I've been out that there have been dozens upon dozens of these near-air collisions that have occurred with military and civilian and commercial pilots. This is not just happening with military aircraft. Now, this is the first time we heard of an actual mid-air collision, but some of these objects are coming so close to combat aircraft that they are literally splitting that combat formation right down the middle. So you can imagine how close combat aircraft fly when they're flying in formation. Now imagine a UAP coming in right between them. So this is nothing new. And I think, you mentioned earlier, why is the administration having the conversation now? And I think it's because this has really become the worst kept secret in American history. It's been 80 years of suppression and misinformation, and we're at the point now where I think the administration realizes that America can handle the truth.
I appreciate you taking your time to join us in this special report. And if you like a report, be sure to click like, follow, and subscribe. I'm David Denault.
This has been a special report from About Space Today.